former sword champion of the Luofu, and the creator of the Cloud Knight's Legends of Undefeated Might. Now, her name has been wiped from the records, and she is a traitor of the Xianzhou, walking on the fine line between sanity and Mara-struck. Jingliu is a 5-star ice character specializing in both single and multiple target damage. She follows the destruction path. A destruction character would typically have combined high damage output and high survivability. In Jingliu's case, her survivability will come from her high base defense stats. Similar to Arlen and Blade, Jingliu sacrifices something for better damage output, and that will be her ally's HP. Looking at Jingliu's whole kit, there is one thing that stands out the most: her talent, Crescent Transmigration. This talent allows Jingliu to enter a buffed state called the Spectral Transmigration state, where she gains a high amount of critical rate boost, and allows her attacks to consume all her other allies' HP in exchange for a massive attack stat increase. Additionally, it enhances her skill. To enter Jingliu's buffed state, she simply needs 2 stacks of Syzygy. You can see Jingliu's current stat count on her in-game status. To gain a Syzygy stack, Jingliu needs to use her skill outside of her buffed state, while her ultimate will generate a Syzygy stack regardless of whether she is in her buffed state or not. Once Jingliu gains 2 stacks, she will advance herself forward and enter her buffed state. Since she advances herself forward, she is able to act again immediately. In Jingliu's buffed state, her skill becomes enhanced with higher damage output and is changed into a blast-type attack. The amount of damage it would deal to the adjacent targets is 50% of the original. This makes Jingliu competitive in the AoE damage department as well. This enhanced skill would not cost SP, but instead would consume a Syzygy stack per use. This exact feature makes Jingliu very SP efficient. All attacks within Jingliu's buffed state will consume a set percentage of allies' max HP. This means that both her ultimate and enhanced skill will trigger this effect. In exchange for the HP drain, Jingliu gets a massive attack increase. At level 10 traces, this talent would provide as much as 180% attack increase. To guarantee that Jingliu gains the maximum amount, the total max HP required from her allies is 10,500. For example, if every ally of Jingliu had 3,500 max HP each, then Jingliu would be able to achieve the maximum amount of attack increase. When Jingliu burns all her Syzygy stacks, she will automatically exit her buffed state. Before we begin this section, it is important to note that unlike other characters, Jingliu's skill only generates 20 energy, while her enhanced skill generates 30 energy. Jingliu's technique gives her free 15 energy and 1 Syzygy stack upon battle entry. Additionally, it has a chance to freeze all enemies per wave. Ideally, this should always be used before entering any fights. With her technique being used, Jingliu would have 1 Syzygy stack ready. Using her skill on her first turn means she will immediately enter her buffed state. After advancing forward, you can use her enhanced skill. With 85 energy on entry, plus 20 energy from skill, and plus 30 energy from enhanced skill, Jingliu will have 135 energy, which is 5 energy short to use her ultimate. This will be a recurring problem every time Jingliu performs a full rotation. There are 2 ways to fix this problem. One is getting hit. Not exactly a huge problem for a destruction character due to their innately high aggro. 2 is getting a kill before exiting her buffed state. This is pretty hard to do if she is outside of her buffed state, but not particularly hard with the massive amount of damage coming from her enhanced skill. There are 2 major reasons why Jingliu's ultimate should be used within her buffed state. One is due to the fact that Jingliu simply does not deal any damage outside her buffed state. Not to mention, her A6 trace encourages us to use her ultimate in her buffed state, as it will increase its critical damage. 2 is due to what I mentioned earlier. Her ultimate provides a Syzygy stack regardless of whether you use it in her buffed state or not. By adding a Syzygy stack under Jingliu's buffed state, you are technically extending it. Although there can be cases where you could use Jingliu's ultimate as an advance forward when she is currently at 1 stack of Syzygy. For example, if an enemy is about to use their ultimate attack and needs to be weakness broken, this can be a good chance to utilize Jingliu's ultimate as an advance forward. If you manage to fix Jingliu's energy problem, then her ultimate rotation would look like this. I will use this rotation on my damage calculator to figure out which is Jingliu's best light cones and relic setup. Starting with Jingliu's best in slot. That will be her signature light cone. I shall be my own sword. This is Jingliu's damage against one target, and versus 2 targets equipped with her signature LC at rank 1. Against 2 targets, Jingliu is dealing roughly 46% more damage. To gauge how strong she is, let's compare her damage to one of the current best damage dealers in the game, Imbibitor Lunai. Quick disclaimer, we are only comparing their individual performance. This comparison won't be accurate if the characters are under their own best team setups. With that out of the way, let's continue. This is Imbibitor Lunai's damage against one target equipped with his signature LC at rank 1. As you can see, Jingliu deals roughly 4.5% more damage. Keep in mind that Jingliu sacrifices a lot of her allies' HP to reach her peak damage, while Imbibitor Lunai does not endanger his allies. On the other hand, Imbibitor Lunai has serious SP consumption problems, while Jingliu only consumes 2 SP per full rotation. What's interesting about Jingliu's signature LC is that, due to how defense shred stacking works, this signature LC can theoretically provide much more damage than it normally would. While Imbibitor Lunai's signature LC effects only diminishes due to ally buffs, Jingliu's signature LC only gets stronger the more defense reductions are applied on her enemies. I will talk more about this later. As for the LC's other gimmick, it is guaranteed to gain max stacks each time Jingliu attacks in her buffed state. Note that the damage percent increase is immediately applied on Jingliu's attacks instead of being applied on the next turn. To save us time, this is Jingliu's light cone ranking. Jingliu's best free-to-play LC is a rank 5 Fall of an Aeon. While it looks pretty decent compared to her other options, Jingliu burning turns pretty fast can make Fall of an Aeon perform worse. After all, burning turns faster means less uptime on self-buffs. Her best 4-star LC would be a rank 5 Under the Blue Sky. If you can maintain its buff at 100% uptime, it is super slightly stronger than Fall of an Aeon. It does, however, suffer from the same problem of burning turns too fast. A rank 5 Secret Vow is a decent 4-star option as well. The only problem with this LC is that you'd barely make use of its secondary effect. Keeping the team healthy means Jingliu would maintain high health. You might be wondering why I included Brighter Than the Sun. As a stat stick, the rank 1 version of this LC is almost as strong as a rank 5 Fall of an Aeon. Starting with the Planar set, there's almost no competition. Rudolent Arena is Jingliu's best in slot. It is around 7% stronger than the Space Sealing Station, which is mainly due to the fact that any extra attack increase for Jingliu is heavily diminished. Just remember that 7% is still within the realm of pick the one with the better substats. But if you've yet to farm for Jingliu's relics, you should aim for Rudolent Arena. For the main stats, aim for an attack rope since energy rope is a huge damage loss. For the sphere, nothing beats getting ice damage. As for Jingliu's cavern relics, it would have been a straightforward suggestion if not for her signature LC and the possibility of teaming up with Pela or Silverwolf. Normally, it would be safe to go with the Hunter set and be done with it. It gives damage percent, which is a stat that Jingliu lacks, and the 25% critical damage boost works well with her innately high critical rate. Problem is, we have a huge contender, the Genius set. Let me make a simple explanation as to why this set works for Jingliu. The way defense reduction works is that the more defense reductions are applied, the higher actual damage increase you get. This is the exact opposite of additive stats that stacks diminishingly. Here's an example. Defense Shred A represents the current defense reduction applied. Defense Shred B represents the defense ignore coming from Jingliu's signature LC. So as you can see here, Defense Shred B is exactly 12 values higher than Defense Shred A. This cell represents the damage increase you get from Jingliu's signature LC. This is important. Remember, it does not represent the damage increase you get from all defense reductions combined. Again, this cell only represents the actual damage increase you would get from the 12% defense ignore coming from Jingliu's signature LC. I hope no one gets confused. Right now, I am using the 20% defense ignore from 4-piece Genius set on Defense Shred A. As you can see, you get a 7.55% damage increase from the 12% defense ignore coming from Jingliu's signature LC. Pela's ultimate at level 10 reduces enemy defense by 40%. Let's try adding that to Defense Shred A. As you can see, the damage increase changed from 7.55% to 10.09%. Let's try adding a rank 5 resolution LC, which reduces defense by 16%. As expected, the damage boost increased further. What this basically means is that, by default, you only get a 6.71% damage increase from the defense ignore of Jingliu's signature LC. But if you take into account the 20% defense ignore from the 4-piece Genius set, and the 56% total defense reduction of a Pela equipped with a rank 5 resolution LC, then the 12% defense ignore of Jingliu's signature LC would go from 6.71% to an 11.66% damage increase. Just note that defense reduction caps at 100%, meaning you should not pair Pela and Silverwolf in Jingliu's team. Here's a quick relic ranking for Jingliu showing the difference of the two relic sets if Pela is in the team or not. As you can see, it is not worth going for the Genius set if Pela is not in the team. However, if Pela is in the team, then Genius set is the better pick. Just a fair warning, if an enemy is not weak to ice, it means that the enemy would typically have 20% resistance against it. So for example, even if Genius set is strong against enemies with quantum weakness, your ice damage would still be reduced by their ice resistance. To solve this issue, you should replace Pela with Silverwolf. Considering Jingliu has an innately high critical rate, aim for a critical damage body. Depending on your strategy, both attack boots and speed boots are viable. Even though Pela has such a strong synergy with Jingliu, Bronya is Jingliu's best support. Jingliu being SP efficient allows Bronya to be able to spam her skill. A Bronya with a level 10 skill equipped with her signature LC would consistently provide 96% damage boost to Jingliu. As explained earlier, Jingliu has an overstacked attack percent boost, meaning she is very hungry for any external damage percent source. Now here comes the real question. Fast Bronya or slow Bronya? Here's a quick comparison between the two Bronya tech. Forget about the damage difference between the two for now. So obviously, the slow Bronya tech eats much more SP. For non-E4 Pela owners, this isn't particularly a problem. However, the problem happens if you use an E4 Pela. Let's assume your Pela uses a 3-turn ultimate rotation. Since a non-E4 Pela would only use basic attacks, then they will generate 3 SP per rotation. Meanwhile, an E4 Pela would add a skill cast within their rotation, meaning, if they do a skill followed by 2 basic attacks, then an E4 Pela only generates 1 SP per rotation. That is a massive difference. Therefore, you can see the appeal of using a fast Bronya. A fast Bronya uses basic skill or skill basic skill per rotation. This means she only consumes 1 SP per rotation, which makes her SP efficient. To learn more about how a fast Bronya works, you can watch my other video. Link will be in the description. On paper, Pela is Jingliu's second best support. You won't find any issue teaming Pela with Jingliu as long as your Pela is not E4. However, as mentioned earlier, you will have serious SP problems with an E4 Pela. By adding a skill cast on her rotation, she isn't just using an SP, she also would not generate an SP on the same turn. Technically speaking, that means -2 SP for your team. I already explained why Pela is synergistic with Jingliu, so I'll focus on helping you solve this SP problem when pairing Jingliu with an E4 Pela. The easiest way is to get 147 speed on Pela while equipped with a 4-piece Eagle set. This allows Pela to act twice every 125 action value. This won't completely fix the SP problem, but instead delay it. This is also assuming that Bronya is using her signature LC, and your healer is using the best SP generator build, which I will talk more about later. With this 147 speed Pela build, you will only experience the SP problem at around the 4th cycle. The next speed breakpoint is 184. Well, good luck reaching that. With Jingliu, Bronya, and Pela burning so much SP, it is up to the last slot whether the team will be able to sustain itself or break down due to the lack of SP. As we already learned through the guide, Jingliu consumes the HP of her allies to boost her damage. This makes it almost mandatory to have a healer in the team. Obviously, bringing in abundance would be great for Jingliu, but we don't have to stop there. Why not make the abundance character a hyper SP generator? If you didn't know, there is a 3-star abundance light cone called multiplication. At rank 5, it advances the wearer forward by 20% after performing a basic attack. With this light cone and a certain speed breakpoint, we can create a pseudo 201 speed character. A 201 speed character is able to act 3 times every 150 action value. In short, it is able to act 1 time per 50 action values. That is insanely fast. Using my custom-made calculator, the speed needed to achieve this is 160. Getting an abundance character to 160 speed is definitely not easy, and will be considered an endgame build. There is just one problem with this tech. Obviously, the healer won't perform a basic attack on battle entry. This means that the pseudo 201 speed only starts after the first basic attack. To fix this, you either need to equip your healer with 2-piece Von Whack, or have a harmony be equipped with Dance 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 LC. Tingyun competes against Pela for the second best support to pair with Jingliu. While Tingyun's skill doesn't provide much extra damage increase, her ultimate's damage percent buff and extra energy is pretty massive for Jingliu. What makes Tingyun quite a game changer is that she allows Jingliu to stay in her buffed state longer. For example, if Jingliu enters her buffed state, uses her ultimate and ends her turn with an enhanced skill, she will have 2 Syzygy stacks remaining and a total of 35 energy. If Tingyun uses her ultimate, Jingliu will now have a total of 85 energy. If Jingliu performs another enhanced skill, she will reach a total of 115 energy. Meaning, if Jingliu uses her last Syzygy stack for another enhanced skill, she will have enough energy to immediately follow it up with her ultimate. That is a grand total of 2 ultimates and 4 enhanced skills within a 4-turn buffed state. That is a lot of damage. In some extreme cases, due to the energy gain from getting hit and killing an enemy, it is even possible for Jingliu to enter a 5-turn buffed state. This would happen more frequently if Jingliu uses attack boots and doesn't have Bronya in her team. Jingliu only has 2 notable Eidolons, E1 and E6. Her first Eidolon, Mooncrash's Tianguan Gate, gives a 24% critical damage increase while Jingliu is in her buffed state. If there is only one target, all of her attacks in buffed state get an additional 100% attack modifier. Do not be confused with the mistranslation in-game. If you're only benefiting from the critical damage increase, this Eidolon gives a steady 6% overall damage increase. If there is only one target, ultimate and enhanced skill used under buffed state would deal from 41% up to 49% more damage. It's hard to quantify the average damage increase from this Eidolon since it totally depends on the situation. Her final Eidolon, Eclipse Hollow's Corporeal Husk, now provides an extra Syzygy stack when entering her buffed state. Buffed state now also adds 50% critical damage. If we consider Jingliu's growth from E0 to E6, you will get around 47% total damage increase. This doesn't take into account her E1, as I mentioned earlier. It's just really hard to quantify. This could easily bump from 70% up to 80% depending on the situation. Everyone has the freedom to bring any character into their Jingliu teams. The teams I'll be mentioning here are just examples. Probably the most casual team setup I can think of is Jingliu, Pela, Tingyun, and a Sustain. Not exactly hard to build, and both supports have strong synergy with Jingliu. There are 2 endgame team setups that I made calculations for. First is probably Jingliu's strongest team. It is composed of Jingliu, Bronya, Pela, and a Sustain. The other team is where you simply swap out Pela to Tingyun. Assuming that you manage to fix the SP problem of Jingliu's strongest team, it is around 35% stronger than the team with Tingyun in it. Even if it sacrifices some downtime on Pela's E4, it would still remain significantly stronger. I personally prefer the team with Tingyun in it due to its overall SP efficiency. Also, paper calculations are not exactly 100% accurate, so do take what I said here with a grain of salt. For example, I tested both team compositions, and I keep getting better results with the team with Tingyun. Remember that Pela is always interchangeable with Silverwolf. Overall, Jingliu is a top-tier damage dealer that will sit in the same tier as Imbibitor Lunai. Should you try to pull or build Jingliu if you get the chance? Yes. Surprisingly, MiHoYo is continuing the trend to release a stronger character compared to the previous release. However, I get the feeling that it might stop for a while on Jingliu. What I'm trying to say is that Jingliu could possibly sit on the top of damage charts for a pretty long time. But hey, maybe MiHoYo will prove me wrong. As you probably have guessed based on what I just said, Jingliu is unexpectedly strong. Even slightly stronger than Imbibitor Lunai if based on individual performance. Do note that this comparison is limited to E0. Most of you should already know that E2 Imbibitor Luni is a whole different beast. Of course, I know that individual performance is not everything either, especially in a team-based game. Just that comparing their individual performance has its merits. Most of you already know that one of my favorite characters is Herta. The fact that I am now recommending people to pull for Jingliu goes to show how much more I learned about her. Jingliu does an insane amount of damage. Probably the only reason I won't recommend people to pull on her is if they plan to use Bronya with her but do not exactly have an amazing sustain character. Jingliu not only kills her enemies but also her team. If you make her move twice as frequently, that means she is murdering your own team twice as fast. Make sure to prepare and max out your healers if you do plan to get her. And that's it for now. Like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe for more content.